This is a weekly STEP meeting with a different speaker each week, speaking on the STEP of the week for approximately 25 to 30 minutes, and then open for discussion or questions until 7 p.m. Well, that brings us to our speaker of the month. Of this month, February, what is today? 15th, 2021, in Doylestown, PA, the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and STEP group at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. And tonight's speaker is Rick, doing Step 5. Let's please give him a warm welcome. Woo!
What's up, guys? My name's Rick, and I'm an alcoholic. Hey, Rick. It's good to be here. I apologize for you guys that come to the Saturday morning meeting. I have to hear me a lot. And but Doylestown has become like this area has become a big part of not only my recovery but my life. A lot of friends up here, and I'm actually looking at houses up here. So it's a big part of my recovery. Like I said, a big part of my life. I'm grateful for the meetings that are up here. And tonight, my job is to talk about Step 5 and how it relates in my life today. And I'm trying to talk about how I did my first fifth step, how I did my last fifth step, and how I like to hear fifth steps or try to hear fifth steps today. I know this is not a big book study. I do have my book. It's just to refer to some stuff. And my sobriety date is November 29th of 2005, and I do have a home group. And I believe that my home group, the fifth step, was very instrumental in allowing me to be part of a home group. Because if you're like me, I clam up. I do not like to open myself up or reveal or disclose stuff to anybody else about myself. I sat in the rooms of AA for 6 years, from 1999 to 2005. 2005 is my sobriety date. And I can never allow anybody to get close to me, nor would I, or I would get close to anybody. I would even go to meetings in my own neighborhood. Now today I go to meetings. My home group is the same neighborhood I drank in and did a lot of crazy stuff in. And step one for me was the conversation starter. If I don't know what it is I suffer from, and when I sit down with a sponsor for the first time and he asks me some questions about my drinking, to qualify me to see if I belong in Alcoholics Anonymous, because what I've discovered over the last 15 years, the last 20-some years I've been in AA, the last 15 years I'm sober, not everybody belongs here. And there's a qualifying process that has got lost along the way. There's many fellowships. And in order to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, you had to have to drink, and you had to want to stop drinking, and found you couldn't. A lot of guys I sponsor belong in NA or CA or HA, Heroin's Anonymous. It's a new fellowship. My home group's got a meeting. It's pretty raw. I try to go to it every Tuesday night. It's pretty good. And so when my sponsor sits down and asks me these questions, you can't help but open up. So step one was the starter, the conversation piece, to allow him to hear my fourth step. Because basically for me, what a fifth step is, I'm reading my fourth step to a guy. I've read them to women. I've done many fourth steps and fifth steps with women over the years. I know it's unheard of, but there's no motive other than I need help. Because if I think about it, I learned about women from men. See something wrong with that? I learned my women and sex ideals bartended at 18 years old from guys that were 45 and 50, were married, were cheating on their wives. And I thought that was pretty cool. Have a wife at home and you have a girlfriend on the side. And today I know that is completely false and erroneous and wrong and unspiritual, and I will never stay sober if I try to live that way. That's just my own experience. And so I have this fourth step. What am I going to do with it? I have this fourth step. I got a bunch of resentments, a bunch of fears. And my sponsor actually sat with me. I know it's unheard of, but he sat with me as I wrote my fourth step. It was a bad week in November and beginning of December. It was snowing out. He was a roofer. There was no work because it was raining and it was snowing. And he took the time to come over to the recovery house I was living in and sit with me as I wrote it. And he tricked me into it. The first part of it, he tricked me into it. I'm sitting in recovery. I want nothing to do with any of this literature. I've been in AA before. It don't work. And I'm not feeling any of it. And he took me through the first 3 steps the night before, and he said, guess who I seen at the Broadsburg meeting? I said, who? He mentioned her name, an ex. I went, oh, God. He said, oh, sounds like a resentment to me. he had an estimate book because he was doing side jobs. He ripped a piece of paper out of his estimate book. It wasn't even like a notebook. It was like a ledger. Gave me a pencil. We sharpened it with a razor knife. Gave me the pencil and goes, here, write her name down. Guess who else I saw? He mentioned his name. I went, oh, that's her new boyfriend. I went, oh, it sounds like a resentment. Put it down. Next thing you know, about 15 minutes later, I had about 33 names, 40 names on a piece of paper. And I didn't even think I was resentful or mad anymore. And then we went right through. We did a 4-column inventory. He asked me why I was mad at each one. I wrote down just a couple words. Because you know exactly why you're mad at him. This is not about writing a life story. It's about telling me your life story, resentment-wise, fear-wise, and how you hurt people through your sex behaviors. And I started the process. And what he did was he told me about himself. And it opened me up. The first thing he said to me was, what are you afraid to tell me or anybody else that you've been holding on to? It's not really part of the instructions in our 4-step inventory. It's part of it. It says it's secrets in our 5th step, holding on to certain facts about our life. And I said, nothing. He looked at me and goes, come on, dude. Let's get honest here. This is about being rigorously honest. I said, I'm jealous of my brother. That was my big thing. My brother had the beautiful wife, the beautiful kids, the beautiful job, the beautiful house in Mayfair. I had all that. And I don't know whether we gave it away, we lost it, or whatever. It was no longer part of my life. That's all I know. The house in Mayfair was gone. The girl was gone. The job was gone. Any hopes of having a family at my age was probably gone. And I said, I'm really jealous of my brother. And I'll tell you what happened. It doesn't sound like a big deal now, like 15 years later, but in that moment, admitting that to another man was pretty big. How I was raised, and now I'm going back through the steps with another guy, and we're starting to dig out some other stuff I suppress stuff. I'm the kind of guy that I was taught never show your emotions. And except we were playing football, baseball, hockey, or basketball. I do AA like I play sports. It might be the wrong way to do it, but that's just the way. I'm really passionate about Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was always taught, though, everything stays here. Whatever's going on can be fixed here. And I wasn't raised to be lovable. And my parents didn't do a bad job. I'm not saying that. Is that my brother and my sister are way older than me. And I was the snowstorm baby that happened to come along. My parents denied it for years, and finally I got my mom to admit it when she was 96. And she opened up and she admitted, it was an accident. But that doesn't mean they didn't love me. It's just that they were older, and they were both working 2 jobs when I was 10, 11, left on my own. And my brother and my sister, my sister was already out of the house. My brother was on his way out. So my next door neighbor was my brother's godmother. She was Italian and didn't speak no English. And that's who I came home to lunch with every day for 8 years, going through grade school and secondary school. So I had nothing. No one ever taught me. I never was taught about the birds and the bees. I learned that from my brother's friends, drinking on the corner. My dad never sat down with me and taught me how to fix a bike. None of that stuff. He was working 2 jobs. My parents were great providers. Never wanted for anything. And it kind of hurt me. And I'm looking back now, and it hurt me in the long run. And we never sat down and talked about credit scores. Never talked about, I bought my first house. I was selling cocaine. So I bought my first house pretty much cash. But then they wanted a mortgage, and I wasn't down with that. They wanted a monthly payment every month with the money I owed. I'm like, nah, I just gave you $75,000. I'm not down with the monthly stuff. Little did I know, they take your house if you don't do that. And I never knew that. I never told my dad I wasn't paying the mortgage for months and months and months. And by the time my alcoholism was triggered, and I didn't even care about the house. So I look at these resentments. My mom and dad were the biggest resentments. We got to my parents like 5 or 6 down. And, they didn't love me the way I thought they should, etc. So we get to that fourth column of where my mistakes were in that. And my sponsor just asked me a couple questions getting that fourth column. You think you were the best son you could have been? Before he answered, think about that, he said. Think about it. I thought about it, and over the last 15 years, it got way deeper of how it must have been my parents raising a kid like me. My brother and my sisters were angels. Their relationship with God, no one had to force them into it. Alcohol didn't beat them into it. They were just naturally good people. You ever seen the movie Twins? Arnold Schwarzenegger and Robert and Danny DeVito, right? There's a line in there. I never really seen the whole movie, but I remember through my drunken days watching it. Danny DeVito is like, I got all the crap left over. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger was a big muscle head guy, and then got all the good stuff. And Danny DeVito gets short. And that's how I felt like I was. I got all the crap left over. My brother and my sister got all the good stuff. I got all the crap. And I know that not to be true today. It's just that living on self-will for so long, I became somebody I hated. And in that fourth step, I saw it. I saw it in my fourth column of my fourth step. So, you ask some questions. You think you could have been the best son you could have been? No. Selfish. They really care about your parents. Ever ask them how their day? Well, they never asked me about my day. Not once. I used to get my middle school. I went to I'm not being racist or prejudiced. I went to a 95% black, 7th to 9th grade with 90% black in the projects in Philly, and I got beat up just about twice a week on the average. Robbed. I had to tape money inside of my belt, inside of my shoe. It wasn't the kids I wanted to go to school with. It was the kids from the project coming over, the older people from the projects coming into the school. Because back then, the schools weren't like it is today. You could just walk into any school back then. And they never asked me about my day, and I was so scared to go to school. I could look back at age 14, 8th grade is when I picked up a drink, to deal with the fear from Monday to Friday going into school. And there's a bunch of us guys that I grew up with. Every day we'd be walking there talking about like how are we going to survive the day. You know, and there was no pages, no cell phones. You just had to hope you didn't find one of them in the hallway bleeding. My buddy Vic, I always talk about a guy, another member of that. He got lumped up one day really good, and that was the last week of our time there, where he got jumped by several black women. And I saw him laying by his locker, what they did to his face and the stab marks. I'm going, oh my God. And it really prejudiced me a lot. And today it's not like that. I'm doing the work with a sponsor, and it's funny how the first guy that asked me to help him in his sobriety was a black kid with cerebral palsy. God has a funny way of working. I fell in love with that guy. He's no longer with us, but I fell in love with that. I had to pick him up, carry him everywhere. I had a pickup truck, literally throw him in the back of the truck because he couldn't walk. And with his walker thing and his crutches, right in the back of the truck. We took him everywhere with us. We carried him over our shoulders. He only weighed about 90 pounds, and he was really bad. He died naturally, natural causes. He didn't die of alcoholism, which is good. But so I could see where my two biggest resentments of my parents, what kind of son I was. And in that moment, there was a shift. God bless you. In that moment, there was a shift and it started over the last 13 years when I moved back in with my parents, take care of my parents. I saw that they were not the monsters that I thought they were. And I fell in love with my mom all over again. And me and my mom and dad had a relationship that I always wanted, I always pictured it to be how it always could have been. Because they were home all the time. And I became the parent. I'll tell you, if I was half as ordinary as they were as a kid, oh my God, because my parents were ordinary, they were lively. I'm like, oh my God, I can see how frustrated it must have been to try to raise a person like me. Then I go to my exes, and her, I'll leave names out of it, because most of them are in AA now. We all came in together, and you ever lie to her? Yeah. You ever cheat on her? Yeah. Was she cheated on? Nope. I'm not talking about her. Think you were the best boyfriend you could have been? Were you there for her kids? No. I don't date girls. I try not to date. This is an old idea. I try not to date girls with women with children because it's competition. Look at that old idea. I wonder why I can never have a relationship, especially if they have if they have two children. Now you got three of us fighting for mom's attention, and they ain't going to win out. I'm going to get over there, kid. All right. And I remember I was dating this one girl. I was in AA before my last relapse, and it's amazing how alcoholic children can pick up stuff. Most children can just pick up stuff. And this kid was about 5, and mom's in the shower. I'm on the couch watching TV with him, and he picked up a metal Tonka truck, the old-fashioned metal Tonka. They're like 20 pounds, right? And this kid was built like this, 5 years old. His dad was a monster, and he picked up the Tonka truck, and I'm watching TV, and he smashed my head with it. Just smashed my head with it. Stay away from my mom. I know what you're trying to do. He gashed my eye. I needed about 5 staples to close the gash on my eye. And she comes out of the shower and goes, "What'd you do to him?" I'm like, "I didn't do nothing to him." And she's cursing at me, taking me to Frankfurt Children's Hospital to stitch up my face. I'm like, "I didn't do nothing. Swear to God, I wouldn't do nothing to the kid." He told me to stay away from you. It was pretty cool because he was sticking up for his mom. And he said, "How did you treat him?" I said, he knew I was after mom. There was no love. I didn't have to. And to admit that was tough because no one wants to see the weaknesses. But it's those cracks in my armor that I let somebody else in is what lets the light in. And the more people I let in my life today, the freer I get. Because it does talk about a stage character on page 73 of our book. I can't act one way in Alcoholics Anonymous and live another way. It don't work that way for me. Maybe the year sober, I get away with some stuff. The road gets narrow the longer you're here. Stuff I can get away with at 1 year sober, I can't get away with today. Stealing people's peace of mind, I can't get away with that. Like I stopped stealing from Home Depot, and I don't steal physical stuff when I'm sober. But I can steal your peace of mind. So it's still there. It just moves. It shifts a little bit. And I don't want to steal anybody's peace of mind today. I had the capacity, absolute capacity to do that. In my home group, you don't pass a motion I put on the floor, I'll never vote for your motion. I'm aware of the hands that go up. My ego just sends me a snapshot of everybody that raised their hands or didn't raise their hands. When I put a motion on the floor, I have a workshop or to change the format of a meeting or to do something. He didn't vote for mine. I didn't vote for it. He wants to be secretary? No, my dead body. Today it's not like that. At one time it was. And I don't have any secrets. My sponsor, the guy I'm working with right now, knew me all my 15 years of sobriety, and we were friendly, and our relationships changed. We're still friendly, but it's more of a sponsee thing, hold accountable thing, and we're digging deep. So the 4 steps have changed over the years. The first one was about all the stuff I did, the relations, stealing, the cheating, the lying, all that stuff, selling cocaine, bartending, ripping bartenders, ripping customers off. And I had a grift. You show the 20, and when bartender's getting the change, you pull a 10 out. So in his mind, he always got a 10. He already seen the 20. And psychologically, if you get the guy who's busy at the bar, he already see the 20. I pull a 10 out. I show him the 20, put the 10 down, he gives me change for a 20. So now I'm drinking for free. I keep on doing that because he's busy. I did make my amends for that, but I had the capacity to make him lose his job. Because when that register is going to be short at the end of the night, I don't really care. I need to get what I need to get. And I don't do that stuff anymore. Like today, if they give me wrong change at Dunkin' Donuts, I'm going back in. And it happens quite a lot. It happens a lot. Never really noticed. I never really counted my change before. And now It happens. I can't. I walk to my car and I have to go back in. They'll never know. See, there's some things you can sweep under the rug, but you can't fool the God within. After you're here for a minute, you can't. And trying to, because I know if I keep doing that behavior, it'll only my time before I pick up a drink again. And it's the toughest thing I've ever had to do, is to be honest. I was in professions where honesty, the less honest you were, the more money you made. I was selling cocaine, I was bartending, and I was taking numbers, sports bets, and I was painting people's houses on the side. I did work for the state for a while, but so I would go into a house with an elderly couple. I would jack up that price. I wouldn't even care if I got the job, but if I did get the job, it was way overpriced. I made a ton of money, and then it doesn't sit right with me anymore today. Can't do that today. So, and so why would I need a sponsor? Because the sponsor is going to tighten that up. If I don't know about anybody else, all going through school, if I grade my own tests, I always get an A. Remember when the teacher was lazy? I had a lazy teacher. You just grade your own tests, just be honest. And I always got an A. Change the answers. But this is a test. I don't want to grade my own paper on. I need to have the honest feedback from a sponsor who's climbed that mountain before me and who has done the same things before me. And you look at it, everyone, it's basically the same. I never heard a fifth step that was different. I never heard a fifth step that I'm like, oh my God, this guy's really bad. It's all the same. It's mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, girlfriend, her, ex, current. It's all the same. But I thought I was so terminally unique that I needed someone special to hear my. And my first sponsor was a roofer with a 8th, 9th grade education who helped me have a spiritual awakening. And every sponsor after that has done the same thing. I've only had two sponsors by name. I do go through the steps with other people, but I don't switch up sponsors, so to speak. Because it takes a village. I'm that guy. It takes a village to raise. Because if I'm left alone too long in here by myself, sponsoring myself, there's a saying in law: if you represent yourself, you have a fool for a client. And here, if I'm sponsoring myself, I got a fool for a sponsee. And I'm the kind of guy that needs that kind of help because I have a head that just puts the screws to me. So I surrendered in 2005. And yeah, I want to help people. Yeah, I want to make amends. I don't want to drink no more. And all of a sudden, you fast forward 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. I hit that brick wall. And what happens is I have a head. So how do I get back in the driver's seat of my life again? Because my ego has to worry me there. So I have this fear's my thing. Resentment is not my thing anymore. I don't live with deep-seated resentment. I had to work. I did enough work around the resentments, but I never really did the work around the fear, how much fear just drives me. It's just fear just drives me. And then my ego or fear is the muscle of my ego. It just drives me. And when I get afraid and it's not going nowhere, I call someone up and they let me know that it's not real. Because they had the same fear. I had this saying, I heard one time in AA, 99% of the things you worry about never come true. So I said, I'll worry about everything. Nothing will ever come true. Think about that. That's how I thought. So I worried about everything. I was driving up here just worrying about stuff. It's supposed to snow. I didn't know it was supposed to rain. When we get snow, my head would just start worrying me. I'm never going to make it home alive. I'm going to slide down 611. I'm going to go off the cliff. No one's ever going to find me. That shit, my head just creates a story. I just keep running with it. I should have been a movie producer. That brings me to the next point where I'm left up here too long. I got two guys up here. I got Charles Manson and Ron Jeremy up here. And if you don't know who Ron Jeremy is, Google. I'm not going to expose that. Because everything's sex and murder. Sex and homicide. And I need to have a guy who's not emotionally attached to me, who doesn't really care about my life all that much. Tell me the truth about me. And the current guy is not afraid. I think he thrives on telling me about me. And I need to hear that. I don't want to be that stage character anymore. And it talks about sprees in our fifth step. We go on sprees. I can go on an anger spree, a worry spree, a fear spree, dread spree, shopping spree, sex sprees, all sprees. And all them sprees are just going to get me right back into a bottle because I understand alcoholism today. My head wants me to drink. It wants me dead. If I listen to this long enough, if I really listen to this, it wants me dead. It'll settle for me drunk, walking Kensington Avenue, doing dirty stuff to get another drink. That's what it wants. And that's the alcoholism in my life. Some people say that, let the thoughts go. I'm the kind of guy where it just gets trapped up here. I need to have somebody to filter that. And I know I'm not alone in that area. A lot of guys I sponsor do the same thing, And it talks about we must be honest with somebody. And that's the good news. I ain't got to be honest with everybody. But I see the benefit of being honest with everybody. Like, anybody else, how you doing? You walk into a meeting or you walk into work, how you doing? I'm doing good. Everything's good. On the inside, I'm like twisted like a pretzel, and I want to blow my brains out. I'm like, I give up on life. But yet I can't be honest with somebody. Because I think it's just a natural thing. How you doing? I'm doing good. Yeah, somebody had a donut. If they actually tell you, watch your reaction. You don't even want to hear it. Think about that for a minute. Who cares? I'm like, my eyes glaze over. Right? At this meeting, I got to go to another meeting. A bunch of recovery house guys. How you doing? And one of them, he actually starts telling me how to donut. I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, I got to go eat. He has me in the corner of the meeting for the next 40 minutes. Going, tell me about his girlfriend's cheating on him. His mom and dad are going to die. And I'm like, oh, man. But today I can be present to that. Today I can be present with that. And I wasn't always like that. So the fifth step for me is, I remember I did my fifth step, and next morning I went to a meeting. I felt like I belonged for the first time in AA. Talks about the 12 to 12. Until we hear a fifth step, until we do a fifth step and we hear a fifth step, we're never going to feel like we belong. And that's exactly how I felt for 6 years in the rooms of AA. I never felt like I belonged. Because if I'm not hearing fifth steps, what am I doing here? Think about that. What does it mean to be in AA? There's 3 things I try to do on a daily basis. And it's not really word for word out of our book, but the first one is to forgive easily or quickly. That's so hard for me to do. The other one is to make amends promptly. That's the easy part. Hurting people's easy. Making amends is easy. If you made so many of them over the years, it's easy to talk to somebody about your wrongs. Another one, I try to help somebody. Try to help somebody. If I can do those 3 things every day, the big one is forgive easily, quickly. That's so hard for me. I learned that in the fifth step. My sponsor, like, look all this. We get to that 4th column of our 4th step where our mistakes are. Every girl that I dated since I'm 14 or 15 stayed with me way longer than they should have. Every job I had should have fired me long before they fired me. I've never given a 2 weeks notice at a job and them say, no, don't quit, Rick. Stay with us. You're very valuable to us. Like, no, just go now. We'll just pay you 2 weeks. Just go. And so I look back now. I'm like, wow. Because my current sponsor, the guy, Chris B. A lot of you guys know. Someone mentioned his name earlier. He says, Rick, those shadows you've been seeing? They're people. They're people in your life. They're not shadows. And I told you guys, just if you couldn't do something for me, I know it's this. I'm like a politician. If you couldn't vote for me, there's no need for you. If you weren't in my district, right, politician, you meet a politician, he's going to ask you if you voted, what party are you in, what district do you live in. And if you can't vote for him, or you're the wrong party, he ain't doing nothing for you. That's just my experience with politics. I have a family that's big in politics, and I'm involved with my union. So I see the politics end of it. So if I live my life, if you couldn't do nothing for me, no one ever taught me that. It's manipulative. If you couldn't do something for me to make me feel better about myself, every girl I dated was like an accessory. I never wanted to grow spiritual with anybody. And if guys are like me, you walk into an AA dance or a nightclub or an AA meeting, you see somebody you're attracted to and go, oh, I can't wait to provide for her and her children. It's not like that. It's just not like that. I don't know where I learned that at. I just learned over the years. And relationships were never about growing spiritually, but they have to be today. They have to be. So I have to be honest with the sponsor. One person. I don't dump a fifth step on a meeting and get into the details of stuff, but I got to be honest once a week with a guy and tell him how my last 7 days went. And since I've been working with this guy on a weekly basis for the last month, 2 months, there's been a shift. Because I didn't have that. I would call my sponsor when someone did something to me. Not when I did something to somebody else. I would just make amends, sweep under the rug. And there's something, you can't sweep stuff under the rug anymore. I can't. Because you can't fool the God within. You can't. Anybody watch like the Super Bowl, I watched the Super Bowl, and it just always brings up memories of my drinking. I always had Super Bowl parties, and Eagles never in them, so it's just like, who cares? Let's just get bombed, and we just had great Super Bowl parties. I look back at someone, every Super Bowl reminds me of someone I need to make amends to. And if I didn't reach out to that person during the time I recognize that, I sent out 2 texts during the Super Bowl this year, people I owe amends to over the years. Either a commercial or a play or something reminded me of it, triggered a memory. I owed somebody who never made my amends list the first time. So the fifth step is so important. Then we got the promises, and it's one of the problems. Look the world in the eye. I never looked anybody in the world in the eye until 2005. I have sponsees that still won't look me in the eye. I got to pick their head up. Come on, dude. So I look at people in the eye. No more shame. No more shame. Because if you think about it, when I'm driven by the obsession or driven by the craving or driven by a defect, I got no say-so in the matter. I have to make amends for it promptly. I never meant to hurt anybody in my life. So the fourth step is just that fourth column. It's like a sponsor's trick, like Bill Wilson's little secret trick to get us to make amends. This whole process is about making amends. Changed behavior. But if I don't see it in 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, I'm never going to change. Why would you trust God or change if you think you're always right? Think about that. I never ever trusted anybody other than myself because I'm always right. I would admit you were right. I never admit I was wrong. You ever get in a fight with your significant other? Just shut her up. You're right, honey. You're right. Knowing secretly that I'm right. What a horrible way to live. Being free, looking the world in the eyes, be able to admit when I'm wrong. I've had to make amends to whole meetings in Jersey. Me and my sponsor were doing a meeting in Jersey for years. I had to make a whole amends to a meeting. For a month, I got to the meeting early and I stayed late. And you were here last week, I owe you an amends. I was wrong for my behavior during the meeting. And he made me do that. So I look the world. So part of looking the world in the eye today is admitting when I'm wrong. Right? Be at perfect peace and ease. Holy canoe! I'm the kind of guy that has to turn every light on in the house, stereo on, earbuds in, right? Noise. I need noise to shut this down. Today I was off from work. It's President's Day. And not one appliance was on. Like not one TV or music or my phone was on. I was just doing stuff around the house. So I'm getting ready to move out. And so I was just doing stuff around the house with nothing on. And just enjoying the peace. That's not me. Right? Our fears fall from us. My fears have gotten lessened. They haven't all fall from me. You just put me in a relationship. Oh, it's like a tissue box. The defects just coming right. You pull one goes away, another one comes right up. I'm getting better with it though, because it's the only area of my life I never trusted. I've surrendered the booze and alcohol to God and my work life to God, but I don't want God in the bedroom. He could come in my wallet. I've learned how to spend money spiritually a little bit, but I don't want God. I don't want God. I don't look at relationships to grow spiritually with. And today I have to look at life like that. And this fifth step, and when I hear a fifth step, it's no judgment. When I hear a fifth step, we're all the same. It's been here in Fifth Steps has been the bright spot of my life. I don't know how that happened. AA is a bright spot of my life. I never thought I'd say that. I hated AA for 6 years. Hated it. Didn't think it worked. And because I never did anything here. I never got involved or let myself open. I would go to a meeting, I was sitting in the back, and right as soon as the prayer was done, I was over. I'd hang outside smoking. I'd wait to hear how it works was being read and come in a meeting. So when I told, hey, how you doing? I don't want none of that. Today I need to have that stuff. The more people, like I said earlier, the more people I let in my life, the freer I seem to get. Like my house is always open. I got sponsees coming in and out. I'm cleaning stuff fast. See, my door's open. If you rob me, you'll only be practicing anyway. Nothing really to take. So the door's open. You want that mattress? You want that? You want that mirror? You want that picture? Take it. Door's open. I'm at work. Just take it. And the more people I let in my life, the freer I seem to get. Peace, guys. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Now I'd like to open the meeting for sharing. Please limit your sharing to 3 minutes, and please speak up. Please keep your sharing pertaining to the step or topic. If you feel like drinking or you have had a drink today, please see me or speak to someone after the meeting. We ask that you please refrain from using profanity and respect the group of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'd like to open the meeting.